There we go. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh. There we go. Everything is not working.
Oh.
Here we go. Hi. My name is spelled wrong. What is going on today?
Your name?
Nope.
So I saw that this says it's live streaming. So how is it streamed? Is it streamed to like the website?
It is streamed through a great question. Lasheen Parks is here to answer that question that I actually don't know. I think it's streamed on no, it's streamed on
Hi.
Facebook. Hi, Lasheen.
Hi, it's streamed on our Boxcast, on Twitter, and on Facebook. So you can go to the cities at Charlottesville, at Seville City Hall on Twitter, and at Charlottesville City Hall on Facebook.
Nice.
You're welcome.
So cool. Welcome, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Harrison, I never noticed the Inception poster behind you. That's really funny.
I got it for Valentine's Day, actually.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, my parents got it for me because I really like the movie.
Yeah, I love that. You ever seen Interstellar?
Yeah, I actually have that poster in my room too.
Oh my God. Of course you do. One of my friends has like a book, like it's like a coffee table size book on Interstellar, and just kind of like the actual physics and like theories that they were trying to prove, like through it. I was like, man, I'm gonna take that one day. You're not gonna see me for a while. But there's a bunch of really cool ideas and like the bending of like space and time and how it was shown inside the movies and what they were trying to portray.
Yeah, they were really, really, really interesting movies that I really liked. And although like it's all like somewhat, I don't know if it actually is realistic or not, but it seems like maybe it is.
Right. It's like just outside. You're like, I don't know, but it's not too far out the side of like, the realm of possibility. So that's cool. I'm glad that you like those. I've been trying to get my wife to watch them, and she's like, "What do you mean I have to sit down for a 3-hour movie that I'm gonna think about for the rest of the year?" Like, no, you don't understand. It's meaningful. um, so yeah, so you've never seen either?
No.
Oh my gosh. Another person. You must be incepted.
Maybe I tend to stick to like the comedy or like the dramas or something in those realms.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely it's a wonderful movie that has a lot of really cool just ideas and like concepts of reality that you think are unquestionable, but actually they are questionable. And so it's just like it's a fun trip. I watched Inception though. I think the last time I watched Inception was like during a daylight savings time, and so I ended up watching it for like 6 hours. It was like a really weird time, and like I was watching it, and then like I paused during some point in it, and then we played it again, and then it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. But we definitely have been watching since like 10 or like maybe even before that. And I was like, this is not actually 1 o'clock, and then it made it feel even weirder.
That's a whole marathon. Like you could watch like all of the Twilight movies in that time.
But you wouldn't have the thoughts, I'm not thinking about vampires if they're gonna attack me, or if I'm Team Jacob or not. See, these are the questions. Cool. Well, enough of that. Datasia, I would love to introduce you. I don't know exactly what your title and role is as far as like what you're presenting on, but Datasia Woodson is a postdoc student at UVA. not even close. We're just gonna have Detasia introduce herself. She's a good friend of mine who we know each other. I can tell you one thing, Detasia is the co-chair of the Candid Charlottesville Area Network dedicated to youth development. I know that much because we have the same title.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of this. I'm definitely excited to be here. I am not a postdoc student, but I did graduate from UVA, so it's sort of kind of close. But yeah, I'm the Program and Outreach Associate at YouthNext. And so YouthNext is the UVA Center to promote effective youth development. And so we're a research center, meaning we don't typically work hands-on with students. Instead, we focus on like taking the science and what we've learned about youth development and partnering with other youth serving organizations and schools and so on to help them better serve their youth population. Yeah, keep going. Okay. Okay.
Yes, please.
So I was going to share like a little bit about some of the projects that we're currently working on. My first project being in this role was actually the middle school listening tour. And so we're approaching the 1-year mark with that. Remaking Middle School is one of our larger initiatives at YouthNext. And so with this project, we are interviewing practitioners like teachers and principals and researchers and other youth development professionals, family members of middle school students and also middle school students, and just collecting those different perspectives about people's middle school experiences from those different angles. And so we kicked it off last summer. And like I said, we're approaching the 1-year mark. We're just about done with our adult interviews, but we do need to hear a little bit more from like 5th through 8th grade students. So if anyone is watching this and like you're in that grade level range and would love to be a part of it, please feel free to reach out. Another new project that we're starting, I don't know if this is actually like announced yet, but the Watts Rams. So the LA Rams, they were in the Super Bowl and they actually have a youth football league called the Watts Rams. And so YouthNext is going to be developing a youth development training / curriculum program for those coaches and mentors and basically all of the adults that will be supporting the youth league. So that's really fun and I'm excited about that. So we're going to be coming up with some of those lessons and even facilitating them, as well as pulling in different people who focus more on some of those topics. And so the topics will include things like building healthy relationships and youth voice and engagement and motivation and mentoring and like even civic engagement. So there's more to come on that one. More recently, we are in the development stages of our youth council. It's going to be a youth advisory council. So the hope there is that we'll be able to provide students with an opportunity to elevate their own voices and develop their sense of agency by advising on some of our programs and initiatives. And we really want it to be sustainable and long lasting. So instead of trying to launch this all at one time, we're going to do a pilot. And so the pilot, we'll be launching the application for that next month. And so that'll be open for about a month or so. We'll start the interviews in April. And then with the recruitment process, we're going to be telling students like this will be like a semester long commitment. So they'll be committing to doing the fall, but hopefully those same students will be willing to stay on for the full year. And of course, like so on like that with the recruitment. So we're in the works of that. I'm preparing to begin like the outreach to different community partners. We have Candid, so I'll be contacting some people within Candid, but also some schools across the city and the county. And again, like they'll be advising on the projects that I previously mentioned. So like Remaking Middle School, like we have this design lab where we partner with different schools. So right now, one of our main partners is in Chicago. We're trying to also launch a Virginia cohort. So some schools that are across the region of Virginia. We are hoping that they'll be able to give us some input with Candid stuff. So I know that Daniel, you and I like talked about increasing like student representation on the network. So that's like one thought that we had. And also providing some insight on that youth development training for the Watts Rams. Yeah, and that's pretty much where we are right now with that. So that'll be launching next month. But yeah, I don't think I had like 30 minutes worth of 30 minutes worth of talking points.
No. It's wonderful. I was wondering, one of the questions that I had actually, as you were saying about the LA Rams and you call them like Watch Rams.
Yeah, Watch Rams.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of the I guess curriculum maybe is the right word for it, but Coaching Boys to Men. It's a curriculum that's being used with the Sexual Assault Resource Agency locally. It's called SARA, and it's really incredible because what they're doing in SARA is basically they're using this program to then influence and work with AAU coaches and like local basketball leagues and things like that, where if they're using, let's say, the Cherry Avenue Boys and Girls Club for like their practices, this will be a part of their process for like how to use facilities. Sure, they get to use them and everything like that, like they would before, but it'll be really cool. It's cool like to see that they're actually starting to use some of these ways that you mentioned before. Like there's mentorship, there's also kind of a focus on like sexual assault prevention, but more in a way of like empowering, bystander intervention, and like kind of ways in which like you can be a positive force and be seen as a positive force in like bad situations. But it's a really cool opportunity that's happening like locally that I think would be like amazing to see if there's any correlation, or it's something. They've learned about it before. It's like a national curriculum, but it's cool being implemented here.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Like I wrote it down. We have a meeting about the Watch Rams tomorrow, so I'm definitely going to look into that and maybe take that back to the meeting. We are still building the curriculum, but if there's something out there that's like already existing and kind of aligns like with what we're trying to do with the program, I think that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll connect you with Carly. She is the person that runs the Coaching Boys to Men at SARA.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
What questions do you all have?
Well, I just had questions about you said remaking middle schools projects, right? And I was just wondering if that would be like how similar to ours it would be, I guess, of our remaking middle school-ish project, and like what the details are and like what you guys would be doing.
Yeah, could you tell me more about the project that you all have already?
Well, ours is mainly, so it's a little bit complicated because it's like regrading the schools, because right now it's 5th and 6th in one building and then 7th and 8th in another, but we're moving the 5th grade into all of the elementary schools and then creating like one centralized middle school and then creating also a centralized preschool for the whole city.
I've actually heard about that. And some of the schools that are in our design lab are actually kind of going through that now. And so I mentioned that one of our partners is Chicago Public Schools. And a lot of the schools there are K-8. And so they're also trying to break up the schools and make it so that they have like the separate elementary and middle school. In addition to that, I would say our Remaking Middle School initiative is more so focused on changing the perspective around middle school. Typically, when we talk about middle school, like it has this negative connotation, and people are saying like they didn't have like the best experience. And we're really trying to learn from like current middle school students and like high school students and those parents and people who work with middle school students to get why they're feeling that way and how we can shift the conversation and make it more positive. That way, when elementary school students do get to the age to go to middle school, like they are excited about it and they're not like, oh, puberty, oh, I'm gonna get bullied, or I've heard that this thing happens in middle school. I would say that's the primary focus of our initiative, trying to make it more positive, and also bringing in more like practitioners, not practitioners, but out of school time providers into that conversation. Like they also have a huge role that they play in remaking middle school. And you know, kids, yeah, they spend a lot of time inside of school, but there's so many hours like outside of school. It's like, okay, what are you doing during that time? I think that middle school age students are typically lumped into conversations with like high school or even elementary, but that age range is like so like crucial and so vital and so different, like just mentally, like how you develop and like physically how you develop. They shouldn't really be looked at as like an afterthought. Like they should be considered in their own entity. So that's our focus with that initiative. That was a great question, though.
Are you all working with Buford or Walker?
So we, like I mentioned, we are hoping to do a Virginia cohort. And so that's one of the meetings that we have coming up. Is I think it's with Charlottesville City leadership to figure out like how, is this something that one that they would be interested in? And I know immediately the community lab is one of the schools that we're exploring that with, but I think that Buford and Walker has been brought up into that conversation. But I was not a part of that meeting, so I can't really speak too much on that. But yes, we are considering them as well.
Naya or Hans, do you all have any questions for Datasia?
No, I don't have any questions.
Hans, would you be able to talk about your experience, like your middle school experience? I know that's different than, you know, like where you are right now in STAB. Would you be able to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my middle school, I don't, by the way, like I'm from China, so like I spent my first my primary school years and middle school years in China. So like back in China, like we have one for first grade to sixth grade as like the primary school, and the seventh to ninth grade that's the middle school, and so we do not have have a lot of K-12 schools. So like from like the elementary school to the middle school, we will have this kind of like shift on campus. We almost all of us will need to go to a new school. And I will say like that transition was like pretty, I don't know, memorable because like because first of all we had to learn like more academic subjects in middle school, and also just like new people, like a kind of new mixer of people. Yeah, I would say like also I would say like I wouldn't have like this kind of like memorable shift if I kind of like had elementary school and middle school under the same institution. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Can I just ask like what grade you all are in, or what grade?
Currently a senior. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm also a senior.
Nice.
I'm in 10th grade.
Oh, nice. So for those, well, all of you are in high school, but what was that transition like from going from middle school to high school?
Well, I can start. So I guess we kind of have like two middle school transitions, because we have like this 5th and 6th grade upper elementary, and then also middle school, which is 7th and 8th. So first, I guess moving from like one middle school to the other, which was Walker to Buford, was I don't know how I would really describe it. It was, I feel like I don't know, it was just like different. It was kind of like a different environment, because like Walker, we were allowed outside time, and I felt like it was kind of like a more open environment, at least, but before switching to Buford, which I felt I was more like enclosed in, and like we didn't like have recess or anything like that. So it was a big change in that aspect. And then switching again to high school, I felt like it kind of went back to being more open, because at CHS, I feel like just the freedom of what you have with what you do at school is a lot greater than at Buford, because at Buford, at least, for me, it kind of felt like I was like trapped in the class I was taking, and like you didn't really have many options to spread out and find new things if you wanted to.
I would say the same thing from like going from Walker to Buford, um, and then Buford to CHS. My transition was during COVID, so going from Buford to CHS was a little bit different, but like I don't know. I think it just wasn't. I didn't get the full experience because of COVID, so I didn't really get a first year of high school. So
I don't think like mine is quite an outlier because I actually like change the country. I just changed the country like while transitioning from middle school to high school. But yeah, I was still back in good old days, back pre-pandemic, when I was like a high school freshman. I think yeah, I would say I don't know, again, memorable, new people like new learning, new courses, new like learning skills. Yeah, I'll say like it took me some time to it took some time to actually finish the transition. Yes, about like this different stuff.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing that. I'm sorry, Daniel.
You're good. Harrison, would you talk a little bit more about like the freedom that you were saying? I know it's something that we had mentioned before, kind of like the differences. I think one, there's difference in space, right? I mean, Buford is kind of partially underground and more enclosed. Some classrooms, many classrooms don't have windows. So they're changing some of those things. What was the freedom transition for you like?
Well, when I said freedom, I kind of just meant like what you could take and like your options in the school somewhat. Because like at CHS, I always feel like if I wanted to do something, I always can. But at Buford, it kind of felt like you were kind of trapped in what you were already doing. So it was like hard to explore new things and new ideas, or like even something maybe like a sport. I feel like at Buford, it was kind of hard to just like completely switch over to something else just because of the environment that it kind of was there.
I don't want to like call on anyone, but like I'm curious to hear more from Naya about kind of missing that first year of high school because of the pandemic. Like, how did that impact you socially?
not a lot, but a little bit, I guess. Like because at CHS, you're kind of like on your own. So like I don't know how do I say it. Buford, like you're on your own too. Like you have to like go to your classes like individually with your schedule. But I think like at Buford there's more guidance. Like Buford you're kind of babied more. So like once you like transition over to CHS, you kind of have to like have more lead in like picking your own classes and like stuff and like making sure you get to class on time and all that. If that makes sense.
Was there staff to help with that? Like I know that obviously you have guidance counselors that kind of potentially can give you options. But
Um,
I know that honestly, I've heard of it's a little bit easier to get help from like older siblings or parents that have kind
yeah,
of that know the
I don't
system a bit
know.
more.
I feel like there's been a change in like the guidance counselor type role in the schools now. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I feel like you kind of are like on your own unless you like know people or you have older siblings. And like with going from Walker to Buford, Walker, you kind of got like walk to your classes because Walker's only 2 grades, so it's fifth and sixth. And so like one half of the school, well, it's like one big hallway and it's like a square and like half of the square is fifth grade, half is sixth grade, and then there's like a hallway in between that takes you outside. So like if you're in fifth grade, you have your main 4 classes on that side. And like everybody had the same teachers or it was like 2 different sets. And so you never really had to like go on the other side of the hallway. And your teachers like could like walk you next door because the way the classes were set up is like you had your 3 teachers and like a tripod, I guess you could call it. And so they were all next to each other. So your teacher would just like open the door and they would walk you like over a few steps to the next class. But like when you go to Buford, you don't get that because like one of your classes could be in B building, one could be in C building, and you have to learn how to like navigate yourself through the school.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing. Chris, to let you know that we were just talking about like middle school experiences. I don't know if you wanted to or you're able to share kind of like your experience both in middle school as well as the transition from middle school to high school.
Yeah, I don't know. One of the big things is I also came over during COVID, and like I just remember like and during COVID and like after getting back into like regular school, like I didn't know anything about like going to my guidance counselor if I needed help. Like I would ask like a student if I knew them, if like I need anything, but like if I had any real problems, I think I would have been kind of uh you know in a bad pace because I didn't have that like nobody reached out to me saying like I'm your counselor and I'm here to help you, but like I just didn't know that when I was transitioning over to high school.
And could you share with Tasia what grade you're in?
It's just
Oh
about
yeah, I'm a sophomore right now. So I came over like the first year of like full COVID, and yeah,
yeah, thanks for sharing about your transition. Do you mind sharing more about like what it was like being in middle school?
yeah. So I went to 2 different middle schools. I went to the Field School, which is a school out in Albemarle, and then I went to Stab in 8th grade. So I had like most of a year at Stab before COVID hit, and then like other than that, was just it was over to CHS. But like I guess in middle school, I went with my older brother, so like he always had like a big friend group, and then I was like, I don't know, that was a pretty easy transition because it was like a elementary to middle school, um, and then over to Stab. I don't know, I knew a lot of kids there because of like sports and such, but like Stab was a pretty easy school through and through. Like it's hard to screw up at Stab.
Was there like a conversation with your parents about like going from Stab, either continuing through Stab or going into like public school with CHS?
I mean, honestly, I think really what it was is like I can walk to CHS within like maybe 15 minutes and Stab's a drive. So my family was just like, you're going to Stab now, or you're going to CHS now, and that's where I went.
I would say it can also be different because like some of the same people you start off in elementary school with, you might lose through like Walker, and that's 56, and then they may not come back until high school, or they may not come back until like Buford Middle School. So like that can be difficult too, like losing people who you went to elementary school with for 5 or 6 years, and then you don't see them again for 4 years, and they switch back into city schools.
Yeah, I've sort of bounced around from a bunch of schools, like not really just like through transitioning and whatnot, but like it's strange like the friends you keep and then like the friends that you just like sort of drift away with or drift away from when you transition.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to see how like the kids who you take classes with in like elementary school, and you might be in class with them in Walker, and then like once you get to CHS, like you may never see them or never be in a class with them again.
Where do they go? Like when you say like you never see them or
Like
how your classes are different.
they might be in a higher class, or like, honors or AP or DE. Because like they might have had an advantage when they went to like a private school or when they left city schools, because I mean we know that like private schools can offer more than city schools. So yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask, oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, most of my friends that I made last year from CHS are all on the baseball team, and I don't know. I don't see a lot of them in classes every day because like I just don't take the same classes as them, and like if it wasn't for the baseball team, I would probably never see them or like not see them often. That is.
I just had a curiosity question. So I know all of you are in high school. Are there any like, middle schoolers on the youth council?
Not currently. There's some like so Harrison and Eve were two students that started out as middle school students and then have been with youth council all the way. But yeah, but we're getting hopefully some new students and hopefully some middle school students coming up in the fall.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. Like, did anyone join in middle school and then stay on through high school? So for those of you who joined while you were in high school, like what prompted you to apply to be on the youth council?
For me, I think that's like two things, and that it's one like I kind of I just wanted something to do, like, and I wanted to like be productive with my time and to like help people and whatnot that we do here. And the other one is that my mom introduced it to me as it's going to be good for college. So that's the other reason.
Thank you for sharing that.
Naya, did you want to talk about why you joined youth council?
I joined youth council because my older sister used to do it, and I just wanted the experience.
How do all of you like? How do you balance your time between like, being a student and being on the youth council? Do you feel like anything falls short, or like you have to sacrifice any other extracurricular activities to be a part of the youth council? Or do you just juggle it all?
I can start, but for me personally, I feel like youth council isn't that demanding of a group. So I feel like I don't have to give anything up to be in it because we only meet usually every other week and it's only like an hour. And also now that it's virtual as well, it's a lot easier to make meetings. So I've never really had to miss anything for it.
Yeah, I'll second that. In that like I do want to spend more time working towards the youth council, but like to be honest, I don't have to drop anything to be here. Like sometimes I have to plan around it, but like other than that, I this is pretty much my free time.
I would say the same thing. Like meeting once every other week is very convenient for us as students.
Well, that's great to hear, especially as we're working to develop our own youth council. One of our concerns has been, are we going to be asking too much of students? And we know that like you all are still in school and you have your own social lives. So that's pretty comforting to hear. Yeah.
Are the students in your youth council, will they be paid or are there like stipends or anything?
Mhm. Yeah, so we are going to be offering honorarium, so they will get a stipend. We are still working to figure out the exact amount of that. Yeah, there's just a lot of like meetings and like things that have to be figured out through that. But they will be receiving that. And in addition to that, you know, we're hoping to provide them with some additional like networking opportunities. So whether that's being able to attend different events at UVA or events outside of UVA that like Youth Next would be a part of, scholarship applications and like helping them with college applications. And I have already talked to the UVA Career Center about coming to do like some workshops So like some career pathway exploration. So if students like have a career in mind that they would be interested in, but aren't necessarily sure of like the steps they would need to take to get there, or if they don't know what they would like to do in the future and they do want to explore different options, there's that. We also have like the Virginia College Advising Corps at UVA, which they're basically like college advisors. So they would come and help the students kind of like talk through what to look for in college if they are interested in pursuing higher education. So those are like some of the benefits that we're hoping to offer with that.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of like pieces that we're still trying to think through. We really want it to be a mutually beneficial type of situation. So we're hoping to offer some sort of mentorship program as well with the Youth and Social Innovation department at UVA. So they have like those YSI students, and we're thinking that we'll pair each youth council member up with a YSI student. So they will also have like someone to kind of go to and lean on in and outside of those meetings.
Oh, that's awesome. There was last year the Students and Youth Council got to work with it wasn't YSI, but it was the Youth Action Lab. And the students that were there, and it was, I mean, I think that Harrison was here last year, but there was a lot of other students that have now graduated. Sabrina and Mary, Scarlett, sorry, my dog. Anyways, they really enjoyed their experiences. I mean, it was just really cool because they were getting to do, especially because a lot of them were seniors, and getting to have some like actual research experience going into college was like really awesome. They understood p-values and were able to transcribe on Zoom and all types of stuff. It was like a really cool experience I enjoyed.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned the Youth Action Lab. That's another one of the projects that I'm supposed to be facilitating next year. So I'll have to find the balance between those two. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tapping into both of those. And yeah, as far as like the youth council, if I could like pick you guys' brains for just like a moment, I'd love to just kind of hear like if you could design your own youth council, like what would that look like, or like what would the focus be?
I personally, well, I don't know if it would even be like a youth council anymore, but or if a youth council under the school board mainly, just like so it's solely based on schools too. Because I know like with our youth council, a lot of times like we can research stuff based on the schools, but since we don't work under the schools, it's kind of a different situation because we like present it to the city board a lot of the times, but they don't have control over what happens in the schools directly. So if I would make a perfect one, it would be so that we could be like connected with both the city council and the school board here, so that we could like do both kinds of things easily.
Can I just ask a quick question? What school are you trying to set up this new board in, or what school system, I suppose?
So we are hoping to have students from both the city and the county, but they will be advising for YouthNext. I know you hopped on a tad bit late. So we're one of the research centers at the UVA School of Education. And so our focus is positive youth development. So the youth council will be more of an advisory council, and they'll be advising on some of our programs at YouthNext.
Yeah. All right. So I think with that, I wish like, although I haven't really been here on the youth council long, one of the things I would really love is like if we had more sorry, my mom's coming in right now. If we had more like sort of freedom and also like power, like I know it's kind of strange, but like if we could get stuff done that we knew was problems and like we could fix it quickly, that'd be excellent. But also like I wouldn't mind meeting a little more frequently, and also like maybe making this even like an elected position among the student body, almost like a student government. Because like I think I like this job a lot, but I think it's mostly on the students to get stuff done, and we got to really like push ourselves to do it.
I love that. And so with the freedom and the power that you mentioned, what would you be doing with that? Like, how would you use it?
Well, that really depends on like the school system and like where we are. But at like CHS where I am right now, like I sort of mentioned that like a lot of kids just kind of get swept aside because like taking AP classes and like pushing yourself is like is great and all, but like a lot of kids just don't get that like they don't get helped in the same ways and like get pushed aside by the system. So I don't know. I think there's a good way to fix that problem, especially if you have like a bunch of people thinking about it and if they have the power to. But I think that's what my focus would be at CHS.
Thank you for sharing that. Daniel, can you tell me like a little bit more about what the Charlottesville Youth Council does exactly?
Yeah, for sure. So we're the Charlottesville Youth Council is appointed by City Council. It's a boarding commission, like the tree committee and parking and like a collection of citizens, basically. And so, but these citizens are specifically youth, people that are residents inside the city of Charlottesville, that kind of give a youth perspective on issues that they're facing. As Chris said, most of the issues that they're facing are school related issues. We had someone that we had talked to a really long time ago. It was like during our uh like tour around the city schools, where she had mentioned something about the skate park and wanting to have like longer hours or something like that. So it's rare that things that like youth are invested in that are outside of school get brought up, but they do sometimes. And so basically what youth council does is gather information about what's going on in the community, what like needs to be helped or what they can do, and then they present that information to city council. We're asked to present at least once a year on just kind of like what have we done throughout the year, what are some things that we've been focused on, um, some opportunities that we've had, and kind of a way that we can speak to the work that we've been doing. So last year we presented on the Youth Action Lab and kind of the work that they did around understanding that the perspective or that switch that happens for a lot of students that Naya was talking about, where students are able to get like they go through elementary school inside the city schools, then they often switch either to a field school, stab, the village school, friend school, places that are private schools. A lot of people also switched during the pandemic as well because those schools were still in person. And then they may come back into CHS. Not everyone that lives as close as Chris does to CHS, but other people, they kind of see that they don't want their students to go through that dual transition of that Harrison mentioned between like going to elementary school, going to kind of middle school, and then going to real middle school, and then all that time you're 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door for 4 years that are really important and crucial. And so there's a lot of students that kind of have representatives or that have that experience. So they talked about that, talked about why students left. They interviewed a bunch of different students, interviewed school board members and parents and people that had decided to keep their kids inside of city schools, people that decided to leave city schools and come back. So they're mostly like basically gathering information and then presenting it to city council. And so that was last year. It was like really research based. It was a lot of like more detailed research. The year before that, I think that was when we did our big interviews. We interviewed over 400 different students and talked to them about their experiences at CHS. And that one we presented to both the city school board as well as the city council. So the city school board was able to make some of the changes that we had talked about. Some suggestions they had made were like dismantling or severely changing the Quest program, which they did, changing some of the food that's served at lunch, because they may have some options that are, let's say that it's like, okay, you are halal, right? Where you're able to, sure, you can have, you can't, if they're out of like cheese pizzas, right? You don't want pepperoni pizzas, but the other option is salad, and the salad has pepperoni in it. That doesn't actually fix what your situation is. You know what I mean? And so just kind of like offering practical suggestions and things that were changed inside the schools. So it's been pretty cool. They've been able to do like a lot of different things, and those are only part of the stuff that we did. We've done dialogue on race after 2017. We've done all types of stuff, interviews with people that were trying to figure out, how to remake the Beaufort Middle School experience. So they have a lot of power. They have a lot of information that people are asking. Like it's more like systemic issue power, kind of like they're asking bigger questions about how should we be thinking about the middle school experience? Why are kids leaving or parents pulling their kids out of schools in the middle of, a trajectory? So it's more kind of like those systemic, you don't really see the exact like, changes that are happening like that day. But it's kind of like they have the ear of a lot of people that are in really high positions, that can make some larger changes that they may not know are directly affecting students.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
I was not aware of all of that. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
They also wrote something to Ziana and like the former youth council, kind of like that cohort of people before I came on, wrote a proposal for my position. And so they've done stuff like that as well. So yeah, so it's again, it's like having like the ear, and like when people say like, what do the youth think? Like they'll come to youth council sometimes and ask some of those questions.
yeah, you guys
Mhm.
have both been busy.
Yeah. And I think actually it's really nice that you're going to have one that brings in county and city kids, because the county, both in their school board and in their board of supervisors, don't have a youth council. So it'd be a really cool experience to get some of their voices.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but yeah, thank you for telling me that. Now we'll make sure that we
Yeah.
definitely get more kids from the county involved. So if I may, knowing all of that, Harrison and Chris, like, do you mind just saying like what you've taken away from this experience, like being a part of the youth council?
For me, I say the biggest thing I've taken away is just that like I can make a difference within like my city and my school, because before joining youth council, I guess it all kind of seemed like rules that were set in stone and that like couldn't be changed. But now like being in youth council, I can see that like even just by telling people that are higher up in power that there are problems and like giving options, that like we can make a difference. And like especially I remember when we did make the presentation to both the school, like the city council and the school board, and like the changes were made, it was like really, I don't know, it felt like really relieving to find that
Yeah.
all the hard work that we did like actually paid off. And it was really eye-opening, and it was a truly like new experience to have something that we did like actually make a huge difference within the school, and it like actually helped a lot of people.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds really rewarding. Thank you for sharing that.
I'd say for me, I'm actually pretty new to this. I think this is like my fourth or fifth meeting, but I don't know. I collected a bunch of data like after the first meeting about like the amount of languages spoken by all the students I interviewed at CHS, and I do think like with like stuff like that, I could really make a difference with just going out and figuring things out that maybe the school systems are just unaware of.
Yeah, Chris, if you want to, I never knew if you had collected the data or not, because I didn't want to ask and have you feel bad about being new and wanting to collect data and then not having the opportunity. But I would love to like have you present or talk about that next time. It'd be really great to like hear what you collected and kind of some thoughts that you have.
I don't know. I'll see if I can make a presentation for next class or next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
All right.
Thank you both for sharing. That was like the last, I know I asked like a lot of questions, but it's been a while since I have like had an opportunity to just really engage with students since I last worked in an elementary school, and that was, I don't know, like December 2020. So like,
Oh gosh, a
it's
whole
been a
different
while
world.
since, I know it's been some time, and I miss being able to like have these dialogues. So thank you.
For sure. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us. If anyone else has any other questions, or if anyone doesn't have any other questions, we can wrap up a little bit early, but I really appreciate you coming to Teja, and just kind of sharing about your experiences, and as well as like working with, uh, the Remaking Middle School program. I think it's going to be a cool thing, and whatever we can do to help. I think that's normally the last question we ask is like, how can we help promote, or, help you with whatever you're doing. But yeah, but that's really about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. I don't have, I have so many tabs open, so I can't really like drop a link just yet, but I will share a survey with you if
Yeah.
any of you are interested in like being a part of that, and just like providing some additional insight on things that we can incorporate into the youth council. And if there's anything that I can do to help like support you all, like even just dropping in on these meetings and listening and being a fly on the wall, I would love to do that. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's been great. And thank you, Harrison and Christopher, and to the others who dropped off, but for like just sharing your experiences with me.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
I think Chris was trying to say thank you.
It's okay. I know what you meant. Like,
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Yeah, and you all take a extra 5 minutes and get some dinner, hopefully. But yeah, but thank you again. You all have a great night. And then we'll talk again soon. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
yeah, thanks. Bye.
See ya. Thank you very much.